This injury is just a springboard to something else. Like this is what is I'm supposed to be doing right now. And so when I got hurt, I really sat down and was like, this game is a great game, but the longevity aspect in it is really not going to be sustainable for what I'm trying to do. And when I looked into real estate, this is something that can benefit me for the years to come, but also benefit my kids and generations on. And so
Right.
early on, I started listening to different people talk about ownership and looking up different stories of how they got started. And real estate was something that circulated highly. So for me, I just found any way. I'm a hungry person. I found any way to get my feet and my hands onto it. And I really just had a belief system, almost obsessed. And I think it's great to be obsessed, but I had a belief system like this is what I got to do. And if I make this decision, I have to go all in with this.
All right, yeah. So it's your boy Ace Billions. We back. Got a special guest with us today. Got my guy Aiden on the show, powerhouse in the real estate development and construction world. And he works on billion-dollar projects like the Tennessee's Titans Stadium. He's helped secure over nearly 200 million for a new engineering complex and led emergency planning for FEMA that protected over 50,000 people. A former D1 athlete as well, and now earning his master degree in construction science. Aiden brings a unique mix, discipline, leadership, and execution to every project. I'm happy to have you on today, man. It's an honor to get you on here, speak some wisdom to the people about this real estate development, and that's what it's all about. That generational wealth and what we're trying to build, and it's nothing like having somebody on to kind of you know put that game out there and let people know that it's possible, man. So first off, I want people to tell us a little bit more about your background, where you from, and how'd you get started in real estate development.
Definitely, definitely. Ace, I want to say I appreciate you for bringing me on today. God has definitely qualified inside the same space. Some definitely real synergy that lies between us. But I definitely want to say I appreciate you bringing me on and giving me that great intro. First of all, that great intro. But
Of course.
my name is Aiden Smith. From here, Houston, Texas, based out of Houston, Texas. Been here my whole entire life. Growing up, I grew up on the north side. Played football growing up. I was deep into sports. Really, honestly, that was what I eat, slept, and breathe, honestly. And so I went to school, had a great run in high school, got a lot of offers and interests on the table. But my junior year, getting deep into a little deeper into my story, my junior year, I broke my hip. And so for me, when I broke my hip, I'll say that was my biggest first instance of really having to figure stuff out on my own. Like, did I want to continue to pursue that? But I also, it was my first time I had to teach myself to be resilient. And that is a big factor at a young age. Like, you are having all this success at a young age, meeting people, having doors open for you, but then you break your hip and it's like everything changes. And so for me, I had to really figure it out. Like, okay, am I going to continue to go through this, or am I going to turn the other way? And so what I did, I kept going through it. I actually got hurt, and I got hurt mid season, and so I was supposed to be out for 12 weeks. I ended up coming back in about 6, played in a playoff game, fully wrapped up. It was crazy, and we ended up losing that game. But I transferred schools. Once I transferred schools, it's a whole paper about me. If you search up my name and Klein Collins, you will see it's an article about me, and I got denied to play there. So I ended up going to private school my senior year. And when I got to my private school, my head coach was Michael Bishop. He's a runner-up, former Heisman for Kansas State. And so he instilled a lot of confidence and motivation into me, and that was just my early bring-ins. And so when I got to his school, they was 0-5, and when I got there, I just felt the camaraderie of the team and everything like that, and I got implemented real early. And so my first game, I had about 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. It was private school, so it was different from a 6A like me. And so I ended up turning the program. I don't even want to say I turned the program around. My team and everybody and everything we put in, we turned the program around, and we ended up winning the state championship that year. And so all those offers and everything started to roll back in. Like, I remember Colorado flew in to see me, Utah State. There was a lot of schools coming to fly in to see me. And I ended up just going on the East Coast with an FCS school. Brown University is a business school, like a top 10 business school out there on the East Coast. But the reason I stuck with them was because they showed me so much loyalty through the process of when I got hurt, so much loyalty through the process of me transitioning schools and everything like that. And so that was the biggest thing I really wanted to go to, loyalty and community. And so when I got to Bryant, I learned a lot about myself. It's a different environment. I'm a Texas boy, so being up there on the East Coast, it's snowing, negative degrees, everything like that. But I got to learn a lot about people, and I got to learn a lot about myself. And so that's when my mind really started to change on a whole broader aspect of like how things are put together, ownership and stuff like that. And that was like the early beginnings of my career. So when I got to Bryant, I studied project management. That was my degree, and I had a minor in communications. And so for me, I started seeing how projects are structured, management, timeline, schedules, everything like that from top to bottom. And so I playing ball, and I had a good run with ball. But after a year or so, I ended up transitioning to Tennessee State University. When I went to Tennessee State University, my head coach there was Eddie George, Hall of Famer for the Tennessee Titans.
Hey,
And yeah, so got to learn a lot underneath his leadership, and I had a great time there. And I think being in Tennessee and see everything going on from internally to externally of like school, the city, everything like that, it really started to open my mind up more and expose me to more things. And so when I got there, I played football there as well. But the biggest thing I started seeing was the conversations I was having amongst my peers wasn't the same conversations. Like I'm
right.
talking about $1 million deals, I'm talking about ownership, and they're talking about the next play, which is not a bad thing. But so for me, my mental was like where I'm at mentally is not the same place where my feet is at. And
Right.
so, I got the opportunity. I broke my collarbone, and that's kind of what changed everything for me. I sat down, was like, really, what do you really want to do? What is the longevity play that you want to set up for yourself in the next 40, 50 years? And so I know people always talk about real estate. My parents are in real estate, but they do a different sector than me. And so
Hmm.
when I really sat down, I looked into it. I was like, this development, this game, of everything, like, is what I'm looking for. And I tell people all the time, construction and development is kind of like what I did in sports. Like I played football and I played quarterback and I played receiver. So I'm structuring teams. I'm making sure that the plays go right. I'm knowing what everybody else is doing. And that's the same thing that correlates. That is very adjacent to real estate development. And
Right.
so my junior year of college, I ended up getting the opportunity to work with the Tennessee Titans Stadium, the Tennessee Titans organization. It's a new stadium development going there. It's going to be done in 2027. It's a $2.1 billion development. It's a public and private partnership. So I got to meet the owner. I got to meet all the C-suite executives. I got to meet the project managers, the janitors, everything from top to bottom. Just seeing how everything was structured.
Right.
I learned that for a minute. Seeing how deals were actually done, moved. I got to walk the stadium, different things like that. And so that's whenever my mind really changed because I got exposed to it. Like it's a $2.1 billion development, and I'm a young guy. Like I'm seeing like real deals get done. And so those conversations early on really shaped me. And so, my school started to hear what I was doing and the opportunities I was given, and they brought me on to be a project manager inside of what our facilities department. So I was overseeing all the capital renovations, overseeing all the capital projects. Like I remember one of my first projects, like a commercial sign grade, about 30 feet tall, 25 feet wide. Like it was a big, like signage project. Seeing things like that, carrying them from start to finish, and different stuff like that. So it really taught me how to be a better operator. And that's the one thing I really harp on is like anything that you do, you need to be a operator, a great operator. And you got to have systems. You got to have the people in place. You got to have a certain level of leadership, a certain level of composure, a certain level of poise and level head. You can't get too high, can't get too low. And so, like I said, I was in school, I was coming from class, and I would leave from class, and I would go to the meetings with the board. So after that, to get into real estate development, I kind of learned construction. I seen how everything was, from an operational standpoint, and my mind kept growing. So what I did was, I took the step of faith into real estate development, and I started networking with all the top developers in Nashville. So it's a guy named Abram Mitchell. A lot from him. He got a lot of development going on in Nashville. Probably the biggest developer in Nashville right now. That's doing it. I started learning the game with him. Started watching him on YouTube. Got around him a couple times in person, networking and just really just learning from him how he structured his deals, how he carried himself, how he just like his team. The system, the processes, and learning those stuff like that. And he actually had an event, and he had some of his investors and everything like that at the event. So I started networking with his investors. And if you know anything about Nashville right now, like I said, it's a booming sector.
Right.
It's a $1 million high sector. It's probably, I was doing the research last night up to like 3 a.m. in the morning. Nashville's number 6 on the list for development in the next year. Houston's 5, I believe Dallas is 1, but Nashville's 6. So a lot of investors are coming in, buying infill lots. It's different from Houston. Houston has a lot of neighborhoods. Towards the city, they have more, infill developments, but Nashville, there's really infill developments everywhere. And so a lot of investors are buying up these lots. and I was just managing the investors' bills for them. So I was making sure that the money was protected, maximized, and returned to them. And that's how I got my step into the real estate game. And so, I started building up
So
my contact.
kind of go, kind of touch back on that injury. I know that kind of shit made a shift for you.
Yeah,
Same thing happened to me, man. It was a ACL on my end, like my senior season.
yeah,
Tore my ACL, had trials to go to the league, tried out, and then just kind of after that injury, once you get injured, your whole mindset changed. Everything kind of
yeah,
shifts to now you're thinking about your body, you're thinking about your health, you're thinking about your longevity, and
exactly.
in the game, and then what are you going to do after that? Like what's after the game? So a lot of people don't think about that when they young in the sport and they coming up in football. All they
Yeah,
can think about is the sport. All you can think about is ball. What
exactly.
shifted it for you? Was it that how did your mindset change towards football, and then what made you kind of decide to take those same characteristics in football and turn them into what you're doing now with the real estate development?
Yeah. So one thing I say is I'm an avid reader. And so I read books early on, Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and they always talk about assets and buying your time back. And so
Right.
for me, what I did, I'm a very analytical person as well too. And I started observing where my feet was at, honestly. And I'm looking around and I'm seeing like, okay, I'm at a great school. People could go to the league from here, but what is really like the opportunity that I have to go to the league? And I'm not a 6'5" individual. I'm not none of that. But also too, I know that the gift I do have that's been given from God was not meant to be underneath a helmet for the rest of my life. And people know me because of a team. I think my calling is really to be a person that's here on assignments to help people. And so when I really sat down, I deciphered all that. I'm like, this injury is just a springboard to something else. Like this is what is I'm supposed to be doing right now. And so when I got hurt, I really sat down and was like, this game is a great game, but the longevity aspect in it is really not going to be sustainable for what I'm trying to do. And when I looked into real estate, this is something that can benefit me for the years to come, but also benefit my kids and generations on. And so early on, I started listening to different people talk about ownership and looking up different stories of how they got started. And real estate was something that circulated highly. And so for me, I just found any way. I'm a hungry person. I found any way to get my feet and my hands onto it. And I really just had a belief system, almost obsessed. And I think it's great to be obsessed, but I had a belief system like this is what I got to do. And if I make this decision, I have to go all in with this. And so that was the biggest thing that turned for me. Is like when I got hurt, I'm like, I can't keep putting my body on the line. I know I'm made for more. I know I'm built for more. I know I can think and see more for myself. What is the vehicle that's gonna get me there? And that's when I really was into real estate. I just jumped into a full lane. Honestly, I dropped the pads and I just jumped into a full lane. So I really would say I'm thankful for the opportunity God gave me to even have this type of vision and understand it and being able to articulate it the way I am. But that was really it wasn't. I would say it was a switch, but it was honestly something that was always in my mind. I've been an entrepreneur since I was younger. Like when I was a kid, I was cutting grass, but I was bringing my friends in to cut the grass to buy my time back so I go play the game. I was
You
selling
know,
clothes, getting clothes,
boy.
getting exactly. So getting clothes for my friends and reselling them for a higher profit. Like I was doing that. So it was always about ownership and buying the time back. So when sports did it, it was just like it's go time. It's time to get right and go into real estate.
No, that's the same thing with me, man. It was always entrepreneurship. I treated it like a sport, and like you said,
Yeah,
going back on touching being in the right vehicle, you could get in the wrong vehicle if you going down a path where I'll say always set your goals first and kind of see where you want to be and see who who's in that space. Like I
exactly.
had no role models growing up besides football players. So when I shifted my focus, I had to find someone I could model after.
Hmm.
When I got into fitness, because I owned gyms before, like I was telling you before, I owned gyms, and I never seen a
Yeah.
billionaire in the fitness industry when it came to owning gyms like that. So
Hmm.
or being a personal trainer. So I had got in the wrong vehicle. It was the right vehicle for me at the time because it kind of developed
Yeah.
me into the entrepreneur, how to operate, how to the SOPs, and how to be a better leader. But at the same time, where I wanted to go, I needed to get into the right vehicle. I had to change
Exactly.
my whole perspective on where are the billionaires playing, where are the people that are building actual wealth, where are their focus at right now. So that's kind of where I had to shift to
Exactly.
real estate as well. I have to be in the big leagues, man. So it's basically the same thing as football. You always start off in Pop Warner, always start off freshman JV, and then when you get to that varsity, when you get to that college and pro level, you got to level up not only your skill set, but you also got to level up in your environment and the way
Exactly.
that you think and the way that you play. So I see exactly where you're coming from when it comes to the correlation between the sports and the real estate. What's some of the big projects you guys are working on right now? What's something that you got cooking right now?
Definitely. So right now, I'm part of a company, small platform, big platform actually, called Base Financial. And what we did was, we looked into our community first, and we are wanting to put money back into our community. Right now, if you look at the numbers economically, on a micro and a macro level, inflation is beating everybody up. And so for us, we wanted to have an opportunity to open the door to bring in our people, anybody, you know, and have the opportunity to share wealth and opportunity with them. And so with this platform, what we did was we went to the 77028 zip code, which is Trinity Gardens here, Cashmere Gardens, East Texas, Gentle, whatever you want to call it. And we got acquired over an acre and a half. We got over an acre and a half. We have our replatter, sits on the advisory board. She got our replat done. We took that whole acre and a half and got 30 lots out of it. And so what we did was we opened up a community syndication that allowed people to come and invest with us with a GP and LP structure and be
Hmm.
able to, park capital with us, and then we are able to do everything on the back end for us. So we have a vertically integrated company. We got trust
Go
attorneys.
back and kind of touch back on what the LP and GP structure is, because I know a lot of people don't really know what that is.
Yeah.
What does that what does that entail?
Yeah, so a GP LP structure is a general partner and a limited partner. So usually, when you have these big people, they're taking on deals, they usually structure a syndication. And so a syndication allows you to, build up capital that you don't really have. So let's say we have an apartment complex, it's $40 million. Me and Ace might not have the money to go buy an apartment complex for $40 million or acquire the land, but we have the credentials and a team behind us to do it. And so we are the general partners. We're the one that calls the shots. We're the one that makes the decisions. We're the ones that's day to day actually going out there to the property, seeing stuff, making changes like that. But since we don't have the 40 million, we bring in a thing called an LP, which is a limited partner. They provide us capital to be able to go do what we need to go do. So let's say, me and Ace are the GPs, the headhunters on a deal. We might bring in an investor that has 40 million, but he doesn't really get to call that many shots. He doesn't really get to the day-to-day operations. He might get quarterly reports or annual reports, however we structure it, but he's the one that's providing the capital, and he gets paid first on the deal. He gets paid first on the deal. Sometimes they call it a waterfall, whatever the case they want to call it. He gets paid first, and then however you structure the terms on the back end is however he makes just residual income and how we get paid. So usually we get paid by developer fees, management fees of the project, a percentage of the project. That's how we pull our capital out in the process. On the simplest term, a GP is just somebody that's been there, done that, and doesn't have all the money allocated to do the project, and they bring somebody else in to help provide the capital for it.
Perfect, perfectly explained. No, that's exactly the structure. So we talked a little bit about syndication before and how to pull money, and the GPLP structure will be the foundation, the infrastructure that you would use to build that syndication. It's basically to simplify everything. A person that operates, they find the deal, source the deal, and they operate the deal. They could be developers, they can be real estate investors, people that are professionals in the industry that have the skill set to manage the asset. And then you go and you find investors, which could be just the general population, or it could be an accredited investor that you raising capital from. They become the
Exactly.
passive investors on the deal, and they come together and they make the project happen. Majority of the time, the GP has already gotten funding for the deal, bought the land, acquired the contract, but then they need that extra capital to because majority of the time the bank will only give you 65 to 75% loan
Exactly.
to value, LTV, loan to values. You have to be able to either raise the rest of the capital or put your own money up. So majority of investors we bring in, we syndicate, we find other outside investors like you, the people that's out there that are interested in getting their feet wet in the game, learning the game, but they don't have the time to manage the asset or the experience to manage the asset. So we We find the investors, bring in the capital, they cover the 25% plus whatever reserves we need to keep the project
Exactly.
going, and then that's how the magic is done. Once all that is done,
Hmm.
we split the profits. There could be a preferred return and an IRR. The IRR is the whole pie at the end of the deal. And then you move on to the next one. If you trust that group, keep with that group, keep on going and growing with them, and you build wealth like that. It's so many different ways in real estate. That's why I love this game, is because there's so many
Yeah.
ways to make money other than like the single ways to make money. Where you own a business, you got a product, you got a service. But when it comes to real
Yeah.
estate, you could be a property manager and make money, an asset manager and make money, a GP, a LP. Like, there's so many different ways to skin a cat in this game. So it's
And
definitely
the biggest thing I say too is like I tell people all the time, you don't need to have every single piece figured out. You
right.
know, like when you have the opportunity to have access to different resources, information, kind of like a syndication, you don't have to have every single piece figured out. Like for me, I'm able to raise capital and go do deals. I might not have all the capital up front, but just because I have a network of people or a syndication, I'm able to go do these bigger deals. I'm able to go take down 8 acres of land and put a $40 million apartment complex on it. You see what I'm saying? So for
Right.
me, that was the biggest thing I learned was like I don't need to have everything figured out. You know, it's people that are willing to do it. The banks want to give you money. Investors want to give you money. You know, they want them to have a return on their investment. So if you can find the deal, I tell people this all the time. If you find the perfect deal, everything else will find you. Literally,
So
like I
let's
know
say
this from a fact.
we're talking now. No,
I
so
know this
let's
from
let's saying like a person just getting started. They unexperienced. They don't got the experience, but they want to get into the game. What role you think they should come in on, or how would they enter the game to start getting that track
yeah.
record?
The first thing I always tell people to get into real estate, you got to learn how to analyze a deal. Real estate is a numbers game.
Yeah.
It's nothing more important in real estate but the numbers. I don't care if it's $1 million property, it looks good. If the numbers don't work, we're not doing it. You know,
Hmm.
if it's an ugly home, just because it's an ugly home doesn't mean it's a bad deal. Ugly home might have the highest ARV in return, or you know what I'm saying? It's different things. So I always tell people the biggest thing to get into real estate starting on the development side is learning how to analyze a deal and learning how to run your numbers. Understand ARVs, after repair values. That's what the home could sell for. Understand how appraisals work. Understanding how your renovation costs might work. Price per square footage. How to acquire land. Hard money loans, like different stuff. Like analyze how a deal numbers work and how to put a deal together. Because after that, everything else is just plug and play. Almost like a pro forma, anything like that. It's plug and play. And so I always tell people learn ARVs first. Like that's the biggest thing you need to learn is ARVs. That's what banks loan off of. That's what investors want to know. That's what realtors will sell a house for. That's what you need to know. ARVs is the biggest thing. So when you I'll take you through a deal. So let's say you have a piece of land, parcel of land that's 100,000. And then the ARV for the area after everything is built up vertically, it sells for 350K. I like to get my land at 20% of the ARV price. So at like 300,000, like I did some deals off the top of my head. 300,000, I want my land to be 60,000 or less. That's the numbers I'm running off of to negotiate a real deal. And then from there, I say the second, if you want to, after you get into the game and start analyzing deals, you need to build you a team. Like point blank period. Build you a team. You need legal stuff. You need architects. You need contractors. You need appraisers. Anybody and everybody you gonna need on your team. I don't care the smallest person to the biggest person. You need the team structure because I promise you will not be able to do any of this by yourself at all. You might know it. You might can talk it, but you cannot. You only have 24 hours. You can't be everywhere at one time. So start building your team. I'll say first, honestly, to get in development, you want to partner with a good architect. You want to get a good architect. You want to get somebody that understands site plans, understands surveys, understands different stuff like that because that is how you're going to extract your value from the land itself. You want to get a good surveyor in your phone. A surveyor is somebody that, if you see a parcel of land, you might not own that land. You might not be able to build on that land. So you want to get a survey to see exactly how the land, the topography is laid out, where easements may lie, if you have utility easements through it. In Texas, we don't have zoning, so we have deed restrictions. So what things can or cannot be built on it, different things like that. You want to learn if this land is feasible, and that whole sequence is called due diligence. So you always want to do your due diligence on the deal, and that's the biggest thing I say. And then after that, contractors. See, now contractors are hit or miss. You always want to find somebody that's credible, but it's like you gotta stay on them. Like it's not like you never pay them up front, but you
Never.
wanna. I say to pay in thirds. I might pay for the materials. Never pay them up front. Never. You go pay whoever. He ain't gonna show up to the job site the next day. He gonna take a vacay trip. He out the country. He back in his country. I say paying thirds. Always paying thirds. Exactly. I say pay in thirds. Maybe pay for the material up front, and then let them do what they gotta do, and then come back. Okay, you give them a little bit during the process.
And it keeps
But like
them
I said,
motivated. That's how you keep your contractors motivated. If you give it to them all up front, they don't really have nothing to work for. Sometimes it's
at all.
psychological. Like they literally will work harder knowing that they got that paycheck coming once they get the job
Exactly.
done. And always
Exactly.
structure them in phases. Always structure them in phases.
hmm
You know,
And another tip I want to say too, another tip I want to say, people always ask me is like, how do I find contractors? One thing I really utilize a lot is going to these, master plan communities and seeing some of these big developers or big companies like a Lennar or Perry Homes and stuff like that. Who are they using?
right.
Because if they're building these multi-million dollar homes, these guys have to have some type of level of credibility. And yes, don't just go off their word, do your due diligence and vet them as well. But you already know if they're putting up $1 million home for a big company like Lennar or anything like that, they have some type of credibility behind them. Their assurance and bond, they have schedules, stuff like that. And you need to find the person that runs that whole operation. So what I do sometimes, if I'm driving around different areas, I might hop out. I keep some plans in my car of a certain build I like, and I just show them like, hey, I'm looking at doing this project, and they love it. They love work, so they really want some new work. So they would give you they contact, they would talk you through the deal, everything like that. But I'll say that's one way to help find contractors. And another thing is just word of mouth. You know what I'm saying? You have to network. You have to network in this game. Relationships are everything in this game. And
I
so
was
for
just about
me,
to touch on that. That was the
yeah, for
second most
me,
important thing is the network. If you don't know how to
yeah,
network, if you're scared to get out there and talk to people, shake hands, and meet people face to face, this is not a game where you could just be in
mm-mm,
isolation. You got to get out there.
mm-mm,
You got to learn more, but at the same time, you got to be able to connect with the people that know what you don't know. Exactly what we're saying.
exactly,
So that's one of the biggest things to me. I started off like that. I started off going out, putting the pieces to the puzzle first before I even went out and
mm-hmm,
looked for a deal. It was like, this is all the things that I need. These are all the people I need to know.
yeah,
Once I got the people, I found the deal. We was already ready to go. I already had buyers. I already had GCs on the project,
yep,
and we was hitting the ground running. But no, exactly
yeah.
what you're talking about. That networking.
I tell people all the time, relationship is the new currency. It's the biggest currency. It's. I've been saying it for a month now. Like that's what's changed my life is relationships. I'm a young guy, but I got a lot of access to a lot of doors just because I've built these relationships. And the biggest thing I say too is like always find a way to add value in any type of way. It might not be monetary. It might not be physical. It might just be a conversation, a perspective. Find a way to add value because nobody likes a person that's always asking or taking or anything like that. That's cool once y'all maybe build a relationship. You can ask for some things, but on the front value, you always want to add value some type of way. Me, I'm a person that's ambitious. I know my stuff. I can bring in investors. I can bring in capital. I can open doors up. I can structure meetings. I just got off a call with community county commissioner for a deal we're doing. So like I have these relationships that I'm able to bring to other people to access these doors for me. So that's what I say. And you can't be scared to network. Like Ace said, you cannot be scared to network. And the biggest thing too, I tell people that's just jumping in, kind of what I said earlier, you don't have to know everything. Like I'm dealing with an individual right now that's getting into real estate. They work a high paying, corporate job. But I'm like, tell people you're transitioning into real estate. Like, hey, I'm an accountant, I've done this and I want to get into real estate. Can you please teach me? And that's where the mentorship aspect comes in. You definitely want to find somebody that's been there, done that can walk you through it and minimize your mistakes. That's the biggest thing because if you jump out here and do this by yourself, you're gonna bang your head. You go even when you got a mentor, you'll bang your head. But if you
But
got
you
a
got
mentor and
somebody that's
minimize
gonna
those risks,
let you know. put you right
Exactly.
back on track. Talk a little bit more about that. Like, who were some of your mentors, and how did they help you? What did you learn from them?
Yeah. So initially, like I said, I started off with Abram Mitchell.
April
Guy,
Mitchell.
yeah, Abram Mitchell. That's my guy. It's crazy because I watched him on YouTube for a year straight before I met him in person. And so when I watched him, I just seen how he operated. And so he had a mastermind down there in Nashville. And I ended up paying. And this is another thing too. I'm going to tell people: invest in yourself. I ended up paying about $600 to get around in a room. And for me, that was the biggest thing I ever did in a mentor aspect way. Like, I purchased clothes and stuff, but I never really invested into myself in that type of way. And so when I spent the money, I tell people all the time that's the best $500 I ever spent. I know it's only $500, but that was the best ever $500 I ever spent because that would really open the game for me. That's how I met somebody off that same deal that sent me a wire $25,000 the other day for my project just because I invested in myself. So that's a return on investment. But I say all to say, Abram poured into me. I remember he had his event, and we were sitting on the bus. It was at Top Golf, and I sat right next to him, and we just talking the game. He teaching me some things, showing me how to structure some things and stuff like that. And we just kept in contact. We just kept networking with each other, kept in contact, learning the game. But I say right now, it's two gentlemen that I'm doing all my deals with, Mr. Sloan and Mr. Bilbo. Those guys right there, they have structured me so crazy. I say in the 4 months, 4 or 5 months of me knowing the doors I've been able to access has been crazy. And for
Hmm.
me, they see me as a young guy that's ambitious, that's hungry. And I tell them all the time, I'm just here to be a steward to it. The information you give me, the resources, everything to it. And they pour so much into me just as an individual, but into the community so much that has been so like I can't even put words on how I feel because I know what's to come in the years to come and what they've already changed for me right now just by building that relationship with them. So I say those guys have really took me underneath their wing and been able to teach me the game on a higher level. Like I say a year ago, I didn't really know what a syndication was. And now I'm doing syndication at the highest level. We're in
Right.
conversation with other funds, international funds is talking about sending 40 million 30 times to do 30. Like we're having crazy conversations, but I say me being able to be around them and learn the deal, learn things like that, and how to carry myself as a man, how to walk in the room, presence, stuff like that. Not even just real estate, but as a young man transitioning into a person that's gonna be a mogul real soon. Like they've been able to structure me and teach me a lot of things that I highly respect, and I can't thank them enough. Like I was on the phone with them today, and we were talking about some deals, and it's just like I just can't thank them enough. So those two guys, they gonna go down in history. Y'all gonna hear their name for sure, cause we gonna do some things for sure.
I love to hear that because proximity is power, man. It's really
Yeah.
being around those people that are having those conversations. Sometimes you don't even know what's possible, and that's where a lot of people uh, get stuck at because they're not sitting in those rooms hearing those numbers. So when a person say
Yeah.
40 million, that's that they get anxiety. But when you're around
Yeah.
that, you hear people talk about that, especially in the real estate world. As soon as I got from the fitness and the lounge and the nightlife and all that stuff that we do in Vegas, I start talking
Yeah.
to billionaires. And millionaires talking about 40 million and 50 million and 200 million easy. Like it's just,
Exactly.
that's just part of the conversation. Those are the deals that they do it. So just
Yeah.
being in there and seeing what's possible and what you actually have access to. Like a lot of in our community, in the black community, we feel like we're blocked from certain conversations, blocked from certain
Yeah.
access, and you really not. Like the America is as free as you want to as you make it. Of course, we
Mm-hmm.
always gonna have our obstacles. We always gonna have our haters. We always gonna have the past, the limited beliefs that we all have deep embedded in us. But getting past that is sitting around with people that are doing the thing, that have gotten past those blockades, that have beat the odds and defeated the odds, and that's what kind of set me on my thing. As soon as people start having those conversations, I'm like, man, I'm in the game now, and you
Exactly.
start attracting like attracts like. So you're around these people, you start doing these deals with them, you start learning the
Yeah.
information that they got. And honestly, it's the information that's actually the blockade. It's not nobody else stopping us. Literally, it's the information that we lack.
I swear, you hitting it on the head because this weekend or last weekend, I had a chance. Like I told you, I got a chance to get to go to Black Wall Street down here in Houston. And the biggest thing I took away was that these people that's in the room, that's multimillionaires, billionaires, they're not different than anybody that's other in the room. Like we all get the same 24 hours. We all get the same will to go do something. Yeah, we might start in different areas of our life, but the one thing that separated was the access of information people had, the resources they had, the way to ever be competent and articulate what they're doing and what their vision is and what they're looking to do long term. Like, and I tell people, information is the most valuable thing because once you get information and you get exposed to it, it's nothing you can do after. If you don't make a difference off the information and exposure tip you're given, that's a self choice of you not getting yourself to where you want to be. And that's the biggest thing I learned is like I'm receiving all this information, I'm storing it, but also you got to execute. You got to put action behind it. You got to go actually go do it. That's the second part that people get stuck on. They get all the information, but they never put it into something that can convert. And that's the biggest thing.
Analysis paralysis. They get stuck.
Exactly. Biggest thing. And I still deal with it a little bit. I overanalyze a lot of
Hey,
stuff. I'm not gonna sound perfect.
I think you need to
But
know
it's like
what you
you
need to know before you move.
exactly. Exactly. So that's the biggest thing. Information has definitely changed my life. Exposure has definitely changed my life. And that's what I would tell anybody is just get in those rooms, get around those conversations. Like once you start hearing these number deals, yeah, it sounds crazy, but I done heard some crazy thing. Like I said, 10 times $2.1 billion development with a B. Like that still that's crazy to me. So when I talk about 40 million, that's like, oh, okay. But it's just like you gotta get in those rooms to hear those conversations to understand how to do it. And I tell people all the time it's really not rocket science. Like it's not rocket science. It's simple. It's simple once you understand the game. And that's kind of what anything you do. Like playing sports. Once you understand the position, now it's just repetitions.
All right,
Now
so
it's
I
just
got a
running the
question.
play over and
I got
over.
a question from the people. So,
Definitely.
where do they find those rooms at? A lot of people know that they got to get in those rooms, but where do they find it? How do they get access to them?
Definitely. So things I started doing, networking. I'll tell you first is meet people, talk to people. But social media is a good tip too. You gotta know how to use it. Eventbrite, get on there, start searching up, the people that are inside that sector, Google, everything like that. Also too, just start if you know you want to go into a certain lane, you need to find somebody that's already in that lane and have conversations of like, how can I get myself in this room? The biggest thing I did for me was I was on social media looking up the right thing, using it for the right purposes, networking, kind of how I stumbled upon Ace. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Stumbled upon Ace, like searching up the right things, getting around the right information, and then it's like okay, growing a relationship, and now the doors are open, open to you. So for me, I would say human capital is the best thing. Like you meet people, those doors are open. Like it's endless opportunities. But if you don't know where to start from, I say get on your phone, get on Eventbrite, get on Google. It's a multitude of
And
meetups in
get
your
on
city. I
LinkedIn.
don't care.
People sleeping on
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn for sure. But I
LinkedIn.
say it's a
Mess
multitude.
with me. People on
It's
LinkedIn.
so much in your city. It's so much in your city you probably don't know. So just get on your phone and use your phone for the right purposes, and I promise you, just go to one of those meetups and don't be scared to talk. Just talk. You
Or
know what I'm
go
saying? Again,
ask
I tell people,
ChatGPT too. Ask ChatGPT where to find them.
facts,
You'll end up
facts,
at cigar lounges, golf courses, golf tournaments. you'll, you'll find a way
everything, the whole
to
nine.
get it mix because it's definitely
Definitely,
they everywhere and they walking around just like regular people. They at these
yeah.
meetups, they at these networking groups, they at the golf courses, the lounges, the cigar lounges. They at the they're they're around us. They even at the car clubs. I got a couple of people in one of the clubs that I'm in with the fast lane. All of them are ready to go when it comes to investing. And a lot of them are big investors. So you
Yeah.
got access. You just got to get outside. You gotta step out and step out your comfort zone because
And even
yeah,
to that, I'll say this: like, you don't even gotta change nothing you're doing now. Just open your mouth and talk.
yeah,
Like you go into the grocery store, have a conversation with somebody. Hey, start the conversation off. Say something. But hey, I'm looking to get into real estate. Do you know anybody that's into real estate? You never know what other person could open doors for you. So I just like you don't even gotta change your everyday life or your whole ordeal. Just incorporate it in your regular life. Just open your mouth, start telling people. I tell people all the time, if you can't tell people what you're trying to do, can't nobody help you. And so
right.
that's the biggest thing I've been able to do is articulate my vision. And I don't have everything down to a T, but I'm able to articulate and tell people what I'm looking to do, what I'm doing, and that has helped me springboarded me honestly to have different opportunities. So just go to the grocery store, ask your
Do you
barber,
feel like
ask your
some you
hairstylist.
feel like some of us lead with pride? You think some of us too prideful to get out there and ask?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you gotta drop that ego. You gotta drop that ego. You gotta drop that pride because when you get into the game, this game is a very credible old industry dominated, by people that sit up high game. So I say getting in, you gotta drop that pride, you gotta drop that ego. And that's what I said. When you go to these meetups, you don't gotta act like you know everything. Just be like,
Right.
hey, I'm getting into real estate. I don't know it. If I don't know it, ask questions. That's one thing I pride myself on. I'm gonna ask questions. I don't
Same.
care. I don't care if it
Same.
makes me look dumb, stupid. I don't care. I'm gonna ask questions until I understand it. And people honestly love that. People want to give you the game. The right people, I say, they want to give you the game. They want you to ask questions, get more intrigued. Just don't drain them, but honestly, ask the right questions and follow the conversation. Follow up, stay in their face.
And
So I
people love
say
to
to
talk about
drop the
themselves and what they got going on. So, and people love
exactly,
to refer. They love to be connecting other people. So, it's
exactly.
that's one of the things I realize about people is if you ask them, they get excited about talking about what they're doing and
Mm-hmm.
talking about themselves. So, it's really just
Yeah.
opening your mouth and asking them. So, tell me a little bit more about about your education process on educating the people. I know we talked a little bit about going out and spreading the word of wealth and real estate. And,
Yeah.
and how are you doing that right now? What's some of the ways that you channel in it and give it back to the community?
Definitely. So I'll tell you what we're doing right now. The Project 100. Project 100 is 100 affordable luxury homes here in Houston. And so what we did was we tied a mentorship to the lot. And I don't think this ever been done before, but we have a full mentorship program to where you come in, you invest the money up front, you get a lot, and you get a full 12-month membership of education of how to do these deals. So
Mm,
we tell people we want to give you all the information up front. We don't want to gatekeep a single thing. We give you access to our network. We give you access to anything you need, tools, guidance, LLC structures, funding, different stuff like that. And so that's been a big way we've been able to raise capital and bring people into our syndication. And so we've been able to teach them how to do deals, how to diversify your portfolio, 1031 exchanges, trust, life insurance, stuff like that. And this is what's been our selling point of how to get people in. And it's not that we're misleading them or misguiding them, but this is the truth you have to have. You have to understand these things to do these type of deals. Because if
right.
not, you will never understand. You will never be able to come to the table and do the deal like that. So for me, education is a big aspect. I tell people all the time, like if you can understand it, the only thing that's blocking you from what you want to do is the information and the educational aspect. If you can understand that piece, you can go do whatever you want to go do. Like that's why a lot of people work jobs because they don't know how to get on the other side. They only know how to be a consumer. But if you understand how to run the business, you would never work that job again. And so we want people to come in and learn the information, how to analyze deals, how to put deals together. And so for me, what I've been doing is I've been holding events here in Houston. I have one coming up December 13th and 14th. I'll send you the link and maybe you can drop it whenever you drop this.
Or
And
confident.
people can come out and learn and meet the rest of the team. It's over 150 years of experience in one room. We have financial services people, CPAs, legal attorneys, trust attorneys, builders, everything you can network with inside that room. But educational was so big, we've been able to structure that. I've been able to help people, get into position for the projects, helping them with LLC structure. So I say for me, education has been a big tip of what we've been able to use to structure our syndication. We have an educational real estate company, and so we bring people in. We don't want all your capital. We want you to go take this capital, learn the game, and go take off and go do with everything. That's why our platform is called Base. We want to get you on base so you can make that home run play. So I say education has been a big tip. I'm real big on community. I want to give people the access and information I've been able to receive because I don't want to be the only person at the top. I want to pull everybody with me I can, the right people with the right mindset and the right heart to go do whatever they want to go do and aspire to do, honestly.
I love that, man. Yeah. So drop on how we can find you, how we can connect with you. Um, do you got your social media, and then how can people get in touch with you?
Definitely. So my social media is Aiden, Aidenn 4PF. I'm gonna change that soon. But you can email me, find me on LinkedIn at Aiden Smith. I'll pop up. My TikTok is Aiden 4PF. You can look me up anywhere. And honestly, just reach out. I'm a very open guy. I'm a very open guy. Reach out to me if you have any things going on that you want to figure out how to structure deals. If you want to bring land for a JV, if you want to get into the mentorship program or syndication, just reach out to me. I'm a very open guy. We can have a conversation. Like I said, I'm not here to gatekeep any information. I want to bring as much people with me. I'm the same person. You talk to me every single time. High energy, ambitious. I'm a think big, everything like that. So, you just reach out. Honestly, reach out. My name will be circulating in the next couple of years. I'll be doing some big things here in Houston for sure. But I'm just getting started. I'm getting my feet planted. I think, like I was telling my mentor this morning, Genesis in the first 6 days, God got the earth created. He separated light from the darkness and the sea from water. And so for right now, I'm in my foundational phase. Like I'm getting things in place to position myself for the next years to come. And so I really just want to build that community. I want to build everything like that. So reach out. Everybody reach out to me. We'll have some events going on. We can structure some phone calls or different things like that. But I definitely want to, talk to these people, whoever wants to engage, collaborate, build together, whatever the case is. So that's how you can get to me, get in contact.
I love it, man. Well, I appreciate you hopping on with us today, man. We definitely gonna do this again. We got a lot more to talk about, and of course,
Yeah,
as we go through our phases and keep going through these things and reaching success and getting to the next level. I want to continue to keep the narrative alive, keep it open, keep telling our story as we go through this journey, and that's what it's all about: taking people with us on the journey. Most people see us at the end, at the destination, but I want to continue to ride this out with you, brother. Thank you all for
definitely.
tuning in. Y'all can like, subscribe, and comment. Let us know what you guys think. I'll have you back on here, man. I appreciate your time, brother.
Yes, sir. Ace, I appreciate you. Let's do it again. We got to get a part two to these people. So I
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
you. Let's get this out. Everybody reach out. Let's do it. I can't wait for the next one.
Awesome, man. Cool.